Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hot Messy Podcast. Oh boy, do we have a treat for you today. But before we get into it, we wanted to wish everyone a very happy new year. Stay safe, have fun. This year has flown by. I know I'm sitting here jotting down resolutions that I know I'm probably going to break in the first few weeks. But to finish off our year of Hot Messy Podcast, our final guest today is Chris Bassett from the Real Housewives of Potomac. We're going to jump right in with him, but before we do, make sure you guys are following us wherever you get your shows so you don't miss a new episode. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/hotmessypodcast. All right, guys, let's jump in with Chris. All right, guys, today we're welcoming to the show Chris Bassett, of course, from the Real Housewives of Potomac, but more importantly, Chris Bassett as Chris Bassett. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Hope you guys had a good holiday season, ready for the new year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You too. Definitely. You know, Chris, this is really funny to me because this is, well, an interview and a conversation that I never thought would happen.
Yeah. I guess it all started with season 5 and it's just been a tumultuous up and down. But I mean, that's life, right? You go through things and you hope that, you know, I'm not someone who holds a grudge. I mean, Candace is a little bit different in those things, as I'm sure we've all seen on the show. But look, I say what I had to say and I move on, and it is what it is. But yeah, to be here now doing this, it's great. It's like a full circle thing. It's cool.
Exactly. You know, I had a conversation with Candace. Like you said, it was a couple of seasons ago. And then, of course, things come out on the internet and then people form opinions. And I walked up to you after you and I, and Candace had this back and forth on Twitter, and I saw you at BravoCon, and I'm like, I think I need to go up to him before he sees me, because that way I can just try to squash this right away. And we were at the Andy's ball, and I think I just walked up. I forgot what I said, but I was like, hi, I just want to introduce myself, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to get punched in the face.
In person is so much better anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
we get so
lost on social media, you know. But speaking of, because Chris, you have a lot going on yourself, but I do have to ask, because I'm just so curious, what is it like being married to a housewife, especially Candace, who is so busy? I mean, has her music career going. She has her movies, like what was it, last year's Christmas movies on Netflix, which was awesome. She has a lot going on. What is it like being married to a housewife?
Yeah, I mean, that and her new scripted series, Hush, on All Black TV is out now as well. I think they're coming up on episode 4 tonight, 4 or 5. But anyway, it's nothing I had ever imagined, right? I mean, so my ex-wife and I mean, we'd watched the shows before. I mean, it's never really been my thing, but it's obviously people enjoy it, and it is what it is. And then I remember when Candace and I first got together and Potomac was getting ready to start, she was like, oh, we got to watch this because, you know, I know Ashley and, you know, I just want to watch and support. And I'm ready for bed at this point. I think I just gotten home from work or whatever. And we're sitting there and I'm half asleep. And she's like, oh my God, I know her. I go there. I'm going to be on this show. Can I be on the show? And I'm like, do whatever you want. Sure. Whatever. And never in a million years did I think that was going to happen. And, you know, the first couple seasons were really fun. Just getting to know the people and I thought being on TV was going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, I obviously I love my wife and I'm excited for the world to see this person that I know and share her with everybody because she's amazing and everyone's going to love her. And then it airs and it's like, you know, you have zero control over any of it. So I think most people in season 3 kind of really enjoyed Candace, but then it kind of like 4, 5, and 6 were like, no, this not it. This is, I mean, but it's like they have to make a story, right? So it's whatever is fluid, and there's so many hours of footage. But to speak to just her being busy, this year has been tough the last year because she was in school getting her MBA. She was traveling all over the country to do her music and record and meet with different artists and producers. And then obviously there's the show. So there's like, where's the time for us? And but I mean, we work it out. I mean, it goes back to when I had my restaurant and opening that up. We're very supportive of each other, which is awesome. To be able to have that sort of support that, you know, successful or failure, right? That you have somebody who's there, who's going to support it and be there to lift you up if it doesn't go the way you planned. And we both have had those situations where we think it's going to be one thing and it doesn't, but the other person is right there to be like, hey, it's okay, right? This is just a step. Everything's a learning process. And if, if it didn't work out the way we want it to, we're learning something from this and now we can make it better. So while it's been tough, it's been gratifying as well, but never in a million years did I see us doing this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. And she manifested the hell out of this.
She is the only person, I'm sorry, Adam, she's the only person that I know who will sit there and say, I'm going to do this, and makes it happen. Everything that she has said since I've met her. There's a few more things on the list, so I'm just like, all right, I'm waiting for them to happen now. But
that is a great quality.
Everything.
That's really a great quality, because I mean, really anything you set your mind to, anyone can do. I believe in that. So
I necessarily didn't at first, but since being with her, I mean, it's just watching somebody, and it's infectious, and you latch on, and it's like, man, I can do this too, and it's been great all around. So,
do you think that the reality of you being on the show differs from how people perceive you and your wife on the show? Like you and Candace, everyone must look at this, especially the fans who watch. Like, yeah, you have some drama on the show with other castmates, but they must look at it like this is so glamorous all the time, like such an amazing time. And you are probably sitting back like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like shit goes down. I mean,
it's frustrating for me at times. I think everybody knows at this point that, the husbands, we don't get paid, right? We're there to have personal story with our wives, make them, have more going on, I guess, right? And so for me, who does work outside of the house regularly, it's very tough. So like maybe it was our first or second season, they get their schedule or whatever, and then so I get out of work one night and I get this text or an email or whatever, like, oh, we need you to film tomorrow at 9 a.m. No, you don't. Like I gotta go to work. I got things to do. Oh, well, it's good for your wife. It's going to be great. We're just trying to make a TV show here. And it's like, cool. I'm just trying to live, my life. When I can be there, and I try to, make myself as available as possible, because of course it looks good when the husbands are involved. But look, if I didn't have to be there, I mean, I guess technically I don't. Some of it I do put myself into, but I just look at it, for me, it's like, I'm just there to have a good time. So yeah, like a lot of people think that, oh, well, this guy, he's an alcoholic. The guy drinks all the time. But I just like to
probably
go.
Your time off too, where you can chill out and relax
a
little bit, and you have to jump in and film too. So why not have a drink?
If I had to film this kind of show and I wasn't actually getting paid, but I had to be there, and I knew that my spouse needed the support and it was a part of the story, I'd be like, yeah, pour me a fucking drink too. I want to drink as well.
Well, and for me, like, again, this is a life I never saw or necessarily wanted for myself. Don't get me wrong. It's provided some great opportunities for me as well, and I don't knock it. But like, for even me to be able to sit here and do an interview with you guys 5 years ago, like, let's say I was doing something else, right? And it had nothing related to the show. I'm actually very shy. And so for me, the first couple seasons, I had to drink just to be able to talk on the camera. Like, I was not, like, we'd sit there and do scenes, and I'd be getting interrupted by production. Chris, we need some more. We need some emotion. And like, you got to talk. And I'm like, I'm not really a talker. I'm just kind of here. Like, I say things when I have things to say, but to just create a conversation out of thin air is like, how do you do that?
I mean, that's got to be weird, because you've watched, a few seasons of Housewives before, and you see, I mean, Potomac is one of the franchises that the husbands are pretty much involved. And I think that it makes their storylines unique and fun. But it's got to be weird to watch it for a few seasons and then be on camera, like you're saying. It's like, what the hell do I do right now to give you more? How do I look on camera? Like, there's probably like 100 things going in your head. But how has that differed from when you started until now? Now, are you more comfortable? Here are the cameras. I know what they want. I just need to be myself. Or, I mean, how do you go about that now?
Yeah, so it's obviously it gets easier over the years. And it's, one of the first times we were there, the cameramen, they're the nicest guys. The cameramen, they're the best people in the whole staff. But like, look, you're going to get into it, give it a few weeks or so. You won't even know that the cameras are here. And I'm like, dude, you're standing right here with a big ass camera. What do you mean I'm not going to? And sure enough, like, you just forget about it at times. It's not even there. And that's, I think, when you can do that and just be yourself, I think is when we get really authentic in the show. when you don't have to make things up, and when your story is real, like when you just have a lot going on, it makes it a lot easier. And so for Candace and I, like we always have something going on, especially her. And so it's a lot easier. And like I said, after now a few seasons, there, like if I have, I guess, the confidence to just say, guys, I'm not available today. I'm not here. I can't do it. And if I can, my whole thing is I just want to go and have a good time. Like, I don't want to be involved in arguments. I don't want to be involved in bullshit. Like, I'm just here to hang out and have a good time.
Too, there's such a kind of like a tiny window on you and your life. And it's all edited down so small for a 1-hour episode. And then people really think that they know you. They think that they know you, your wife. This is even what started kind of our back and forth on Twitter, because I made an assumption about something that I didn't even know what I was talking about at the very beginning of starting my channel. And that's what I apologized for at
Right.
BravoCon. So I wanted to ask you, with your time on the show, what do you think one of the biggest misconceptions about you personally? Well,
let's pick one. I think there's probably like 7 of them. It's Candace go back to our first season. Candace made the statement at the barbecue that her mother at the time helped her with her bills. And so because Candace and I were sort of living together at the time, everybody just assumed I was living off of my mother-in-law and I didn't work. I have always had multiple jobs. I have kids that I had to take care of. And yes, while her, I think I explained this probably last season at the reunion, but we weren't engaged at the time. We were just living together. I still had my own place. I wasn't going to pay the entire mortgage for a house that, we're not engaged. What happens if we break up? I'm not investing in this house. So there's that. Obviously the part where I don't work, I do.
I would have assumed that probably would have been the biggest one, because it always seems like the women are trying to run with this narrative that he doesn't work. What is he doing? Is he out here trying to live off of Candace? And it's sometimes when you said something earlier at the beginning of this, that it's easy for you and Candace because you guys have so much going on. So it's just natural storyline. Yeah. And I feel like some of the other women, and I don't want to name anyone, but sometimes they might not have as much going on. So they're like, eeny, meeny, you. I'm picking you this season and I'm going to rip you apart and I'm going to make you my storyline. Like, that's what it feels like.
I would say I feel the same. Whether or not that's true, like I said, I'm not naming any names. I'm not going to say anything at this particular point, but sometimes it definitely appears to be that way.
Well, I don't want to get too much into the show, because I do have a couple questions for you, and we really want to get to know Chris Bassett from his own edit. But this season you're getting a lot of heat, right? And on Potomac, we've seen a lot of the husbands get heat, from Pastor Jamal to Ray for taxes, to Giselle had to bring a bodyguard to the reunion for Chris Samuels, to Michael Darby. It feels like, as a viewer, that right now it's your turn to be the target.
Yeah.
Do you think this was all a plot to make you look bad, or do you think that someone just got bored and wanted to make up a storyline here?
I'm going to go with number 2, but this isn't my storyline, so
I'm going to hold comment for now.
Okay.
I definitely have thoughts, but I want to save that for later. There's a lot. It's so much going on, and like I said, I don't want to necessarily harp on that in this particular setting, because at the end of the day, I never want to diminish how somebody feels. Right? Feelings are feelings, and I've said this in defense of Candace. Right? You can't say something and then be upset how somebody responds. Right? Because their feelings are their feelings, and you have to acknowledge that. Now, kind of to your point, and making things up and how things happen, let's just say it's difficult, especially for someone like I'm an emotional person. I think everyone on Twitter knows by now I'm emotional, and I'm okay saying that. But being emotional, I can be angry, in 1 second, and 2 minutes later, I'm already over. I've said what I had to say, and that, for Candace and I, because when we get into our arguments, it takes her some time, right? We have the argument. I go downstairs for a minute. I take my 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's work this out. She's like, fuck you. Like, we're not talking about this right now. I'm still angry. Like, I'm not ready to talk. And so, but again, those are her feelings. And I've got to, respect her feelings. And then so finally when she's ready and then I'm ready, we're hoping that's at the same time again. And then we talk about it. But I mean, everybody's different. Everybody emotes different. Everybody feels different. And so again, even after all this, like, I feel like on this show, in my time here, no matter what's been going on with Candace and any of the other women or men for that matter, I've always given everybody the same respect that they've given me, no matter, what that situation is, because she's her own person. I'm my own person. I'm always going to support her. But at the same time, like, I'm still going to say hi. So like her very first season, like, her and Giselle didn't really get along. Season 3, right? It wasn't a big thing. It just was feeling each other out. But we're doing this charity event, and Giselle shows up for like 5 minutes, and she's got some cases of water that she's dropping off. And so I help her get them out of the car because it's a woman. She's, carrying these heavy items. I just go help. And she says thanks. And I was like, good to see you. And she goes on her way. That's cool. Like, I'm not going to not help you because you're not getting along with my wife. That's just not who I am. So for me to kind of follow up on it's been difficult because I think I've shown, especially the women on this platform, that I'm nice. And if you think I'm too nice, well, I'd rather be too nice than an asshole. So it is.
Can I piggyback off this really quick, Adam? Sorry.
Yeah.
Because Adam and I were approached for a show called Vanderpump Rules 3 years ago, because we both used to work in the restaurant industry for Lisa, and that was something that was brought to us. And it just seemed like, okay, if we went on this show, especially as a couple, every argument, every disagreement, every look, everything will just be so much over exaggerated and
picked apart.
Glamorized, picked apart. Do you feel in your personal relationship that the show has added hurdles to you guys, or have you benefited from it because you've gotten to maybe talk about things? Or I mean, I don't know, how has that affected your relationship?
Yeah, it's, for us, I think it's brought us closer together. So after my divorce, I didn't really date anybody seriously for like 2 years, right? This was now my second failed relationship. I was engaged once and that didn't work out. We didn't get married, but that's cool. And so, as a person and as a guy, we never really want to take blame for anything, right? So I blame these women, right? It's their fault. But now this is twice. And so I had to take some time and kind of look at myself, and I realized I'm not a great communicator. I'm just not. I don't really talk about things. I am, like I said, emotional, but I keep everything inside. And yeah, there's times when it blows up. So when we were approached to do the show and I wasn't like super excited about it, but one of the things I said 3 things. One was, I need constant communication. Like, I've got to know where we stand after every time we film, because I mean, the history of relationships on reality shows is not good. The failure rate is pretty high.
Right.
So I need constant communication. The second thing was, you've got 5 years. Find something, that you can use this platform to build with, so that basically like Candy Burrs, so that you have something, because at any season, your contract can be done. And so you put all this into it, but what do you have? What have you done with this platform that you've been given? So that's great. And then after 5 years,
we always talk about, because we have friends on Vanderpump Rules, and you never know, like, how long is this show going to last? Are you going to be asked back? And what are you doing with it to prepare for your future? Because it does take up so much of your time. And like you said, you have other jobs, you have other responsibilities. And
well, to piggyback off of what you're saying too, if you get a bad edit, or if you get caught screaming at somebody, or you have this like awful fight as a couple, and then that is showcased on on TV, people remember you for this bad moment. And that lives with you, and then you walk away and you didn't take anything with you because the show's over and you're no longer on it. That's shit.
Yeah. And so she's been able to do great with that. So now it's like bonus time now for her. It's like, look, if they want to continue to have you, we're good. But we know now, we've bought a house. We've, done IVF and embryo freezing. And so, luckily I have a good job as well. But I mean, this house is not cheap. But now if we know that if the show were to go away tomorrow, if she doesn't come back next season, we're still going to be okay. We can stay in our house. Like, we're going to be fine. And that's important. That was one of the things, like, when we were moving, I was like, look, you're only 3 seasons in, we're building, you're building your music career. The acting is starting to pick up a little bit, but are we there? And now we're finally in that space that if it goes away, it goes away. If they want to keep her around, that's awesome too. But like, if you go back to, again, season 3, we had that argument in the bathroom where she didn't know if she could trust me because I called her a princess. There was so much more to that argument. But one of the great things I love about Candace and what we've talked about on the show is no matter where we are in our relationship, whatever is going on that day or whatever, you guys are going to get all of it. So like, we had been in an event that night. We got in this huge argument. She was supposed to film the next morning and she didn't want to. She's telling producers, she's making me go down to the door. Telling them, you're not filming, she doesn't feel like, and they're like, she's on the schedule. She doesn't have any choice. And she's like, well, I'm not going to be fake. And I was like, I don't want you to be fake. Like, we can literally, and we were in that bathroom for 4 hours, nonstop, uninterrupted, just working out this argument. And of course they show all the highlights of her, all these mean things that she said. And I'm just like, I love you and it's going to be okay. But clearly I had a lot of not so nice things to say as well. But, that's the edit part of it, right? That's what you get. And like you said, there's so many hours. There's 7 women. We filmed for 4 months, 5 days a week. You have a morning session and or a night session or whatever it is. I mean, there's thousands of hours of footage. And I think we have 17 episodes at 53 minutes this year. You don't even get 1%.
Wow.
You don't get 1%.
You know what's wild too is when I think
but you guys, everybody knows who you are. They know. Oh, I'm
of course. And I'm about to go on Twitter and tell you exactly who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's wild. It's wild too, because I couldn't I have to give you props here, because especially after meeting you and Candace together again in October at BravoCon, it was so fun to see you guys together. You can see you're a team.
Oh yeah.
But there's
for sure
no way in hell. I've seen your wife in her confessionals on the show. I would never want to get into an argument with her. I would never, ever. I would gracefully bow out. I would be like, you win. She's going to use some words that I don't even know what they mean. I have to pull out a dictionary, a thesaurus. I don't even know what else I need to pick out. And she like goes through and she looks at you and she's like, I got this.
You see that? You see that? That's a bruise right here. That's like 4 days old. Her favorite thing to do when we get into an argument is pinch me on the inner part of my arm. And so now I've got 2 huge bruises, one on this side and one on this side.
She's like, I'm going to shut you up right now. Here we go.
Look, and I love every bit of it. Not so much I hate being pinched. I like smack me, punch me, whatever. Not that she does, but like, I'm just saying, I hate being pinched. I just don't like it at all. But no, it's. I was telling somebody the other night, we were at one of my childhood friend's house. We went over there for Christmas. I've been sick the last few days, so we missed Christmas. We were over there last night, but she's so passionate about everything, which is awesome. I wish I had that level of passion for every bit of life. But we got into an argument one time about global warming. Global warming. Like, we're just having a discussion. We were watching like CNN or something, and it came up, and I start talking about something, how I feel about this, and it's, well, I worked in the White House, and that's cool, but
she did. She actually worked with one of my friends.
Oh,
in the yeah
during the Obama campaign. Yeah. She worked in the first administration, then the second one, she worked on the re-election campaign, did voter registration and stuff, and led a team down in Virginia Beach. But yeah, she's so passionate about everything, and yeah, but that's the thing. When we argue, it gets really, really nasty, but unfortunately, it seems like that's all we do on the show. But I think this year we got a little bit more of the fun side of us, because we always have a great time. Like, those arguments, that's literally like the only ones that we have. They're not even that serious. They turn into serious sometimes. But like I said, at BravoCon, I mean, we loved every minute of it. We're just hanging out. enjoying everybody that we met, and we just like to have a good time.
It was a good time.
You know,
Go
it was a
ahead,
great
Adam.
time.
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, because now that we have you on the show, and I think it's wild too, when you start naming everything that Candace has done, and then you guys together as a couple, and really people forget how early on into filming the show, like that your relationship kind of started, which is wild now that you have reminded us. But if you knew then what you know now about being on The Real Housewives, do you think this would have been a different conversation?
Like with Candace, or
with Candace, like if you knew everything that you guys were going to go through, would you have opted out, or no, the good outweighs the bad?
No, it's like, as I tell people, it's mostly fun. I've had way more fun, annoying, very, very annoying and invasive at times, but I mean, that's obviously, it's reality TV. It's what you sign up for. But again, because of my support and love for her and what I know that it has done and could or would do for her, I do it all again. I do it all again. I might do things a little bit differently myself, in terms of just, I don't know, maybe not being as involved. I mean, the problem with us is both of us, we're very open books. Like, we don't care. We don't have anything to hide. So we'll talk about anything. And if people want to judge us on that, about, oh, well, you did this, that's terrible. And, oh, and now we have all these think pieces on blogs and Twitter about, because her generational wealth or whatever it is that you want to talk about. Whatever.
Sounds like a producer's dream.
Right. Like, talk about whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. The only thing, it sucks for, as a husband, I guess, unless you're a New Jersey husband, because they get all of the platforms. But so if you take this season, for instance, I don't have the platform, or like Bravo PR. They're not booking me to go on interviews to talk about the show, because
also you guys don't get a chance to rebuttal anything that happened, right? It's not like they're having you on Watch What Happens Live, so you can talk about on this episode what happened.
There.
No, you have to send your wife into bat for you. She has to go into battle.
So I said this because I was very upset when Candace was approached for Watch What Happens Live the first time this season. They didn't have somebody to go with her. Now, I forget the guy's name who was on with her from the Culturistas or whatever. Hilarious show. One of my favorite Watch What Happens Live episodes I've ever seen, actually. But I was like, look, can I go on with Candace? I'm the only husband from Potomac who hasn't been on Watch What Happens Live.
I did not know that.
5 seasons in, I've never been asked, never. So anyway, I was like, and he was like, oh, I want to save you for the reunion. So all the other ladies who have been on, right, they were all asked about this season. Candace was not asked about all the stuff regarding me during the season. It was glazed over, like one question in a game, but she didn't get the opportunity to defend me. Well, all these, and so that's as a sore subject for me. But we'll talk about that at the reunion too, because
I was going to say, you have something to take to the reunion, and
something to look forward to.
And I get it, right? Oh, we got to save this for the reunion because it's been an important part of the show this year. Excuse me, whatever. But
but I do have to also add to that. If I were one of the husbands of any of the Real Housewives, and I was sending my wife in, just not knowing what she was going to be asked, and she was going to go to bat for me, I think I would want wordsmith Candace, because
for sure.
She's like, I'm going to read you for filth. I'm going to break you down, put you back together, and I'm going to walk away pretty. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Might not understand half of what I said, but you'll go Google it later.
Yeah. I feel like that all the time. I'm like, I am constantly Googling what she's saying. But
me too. I thought I had a pretty good vocabulary, but clearly not.
Oh, she comes in with them. Now, I know that we can't keep you for too long, but I wanted to ask you, say you had a friend come to you and he's a happily married man, and he says, hey, listen, man, I know you've been on Bravo. You guys are on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Me and my wife, we just got offered to join the Real Housewives of whatever. What advice would you give?
It would literally be, if you have anything to hide, don't do it. But if you're okay with your skeletons and everything, put it all out there yourself, because someone's going to find it. It's going to come out. But have fun. So when I first came on, I was expecting from Michael, Ray, Chris, Juan, sort of almost like a fraternity type sort of thing. Like, hey, we're in this together. You know, here's my number. If you have any questions, you know, let me know. We're in this together. I didn't get any of that. Not to say, you know, Juan wasn't really around a lot. Chris was great. So was Ray. It just didn't materialize that way. And I just felt,
Right.
I mean, I could have probably said, oh, can I get your number? But I mean, Candace and I are both the same way. It's funny. I had to really pressure her to DM Candy Burris to talk about music. I was like, you're on the same platform, right? She's
Right.
either going to help or she's not. Just do it. She's like, I can't. But that's how we are. Like, I don't want to infringe on anybody. Like, I don't want to, like, oh, I can use this platform to. It's just a very weird dynamic, right? But because I felt the way that I felt when G came on, when Eddie came on, when Dre was on, first thing I did was, guys, shit is wild. It's crazy. It's going to be up and down. Here's my number. Call me anytime. Eddie, Eddie and I talk often. Dre and I still chat every now and then. He was actually here for our Christmas party a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I mean, I just feel like if, I don't know, it's like the veterans and the rookies, right? You're supposed to help or lead or something. So, yeah.
There's like a hierarchy here. No,
do you feel really quick?
Think.
I want to piggyback because we were talking about like husbands and your relationship maybe with other husbands. Do you feel like sometimes that when the women fight and the husbands are not fighting, that it's really difficult to find that place? Okay, I have to take my wife's side, of course. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's number one. But then like, it doesn't make it awkward with like the other husband.
So, like, two different scenarios.
Okay.
Obviously, Michael Darby and I do not get along. I do not like that man at all. We were in the Bahamas for Candace's tour, and he thought somebody was Candace, and he's literally threatening this woman. I wish I was there because I would have literally beat his ass that time. But then take the Monique and Chris situation. I supported Candace heavily through that. He supported
Absolutely.
Monique heavily through that, as we both should have. But we were still able to talk. I mean, even after the reunion, when the husbands were done, Chris and I and Eddie was standing there as well, but we were in the hallway talking for like 2 hours. And it kind of got heated at times, but at the end of it, it was like, cool. He and I have talked briefly a few times even since that. So, yeah, I mean, am I going to invite him over here? Is he going to invite me to his house? No, absolutely not, because the wives are still not friends. But if I saw him out, I'd buy him a drink and he would do the same for me. Is that I congratulated him on the show. Obviously, Candace and I are friends with a couple of the other couples on their show as well.
Right.
So, you know, we haven't run into them, but at events or whatever. But if I did, I think Chris and I would be fine. So it just depends on the person, really, and what type of person that they are.
Yeah,
and what type of person I am.
in a corner in a hard spot when that stuff happens.
It is. It's awkward, but again, if people are mature and they're adults about it, there's ways that you can still support your wife and still be like, oh, that's their business. We're cool. Cheers, whatever, have a drink.
Yeah.
And we go our separate ways. I mean, there's the adult way and then there's the childish way. And I've got one of each. So it's cool.
I like that. I have one last question for you, Chris. If you and Candace could pick any other Housewives franchise to be on, what city would you go to?
So for me, the easy choice is Atlanta. One, I really like Atlanta. Plus, Candace is from there. The guys down there, like I've got a great relationship with Ralph, Todd. When Candace had her show this past season in Atlanta, we met Moneta's husband, Heath. Super nice guy. I called him Keith like 10 times, but I was whatever. But no, he's an awesome guy. So I think just naturally it's a good fit. She's obviously done a show with Kenya, so she knows a lot. Went on Girls Trip with Portia. She was at Portia's wedding, so that's the easy one, right, for me. But Candace, you know who else I really enjoyed at BravoCon while we're on that is Louis, Teresa's husband.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. It kind of reminds me of, he just wants to have a good time, right? So he would be cool. But Candace would probably, I think she would probably say, I think the easy one being Atlanta as well, but I think she would actually like Salt Lake. She loves Whitney and Heather from Girls Trip. Yeah, they had a great time. and Whitney's husband Justin, good guy as well.
Yes.
Nobody would
Meet
stand
him.
a chance
Yeah.
in that cast. That's not even a fair
No, from that.
That's not
but
a fair
I think,
argument.
But here's
That
the
would
thing
that
about
would
Candace.
that would turn that show around, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
That
she'd
would
bring the
definitely-
ratings.
Yes.
The thing about Candace is she's really a girly girl's girl. She wants to. She doesn't want to be in drama and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it's a show, and it can't survive on everyone being, oh, it's great. Let's go have tea, and then we're gonna shop, and then we're gonna have dinner, and I'll see you tomorrow. Right? That doesn't work. It doesn't work. There are times when you need that sort of thing to happen, right? Because you can't fight all the time because nobody wants that either. Well, some people probably do, but anyway. But she's like a girly girl. Let's just hang out and have a good time. And I've said this since the beginning, and a lot of people, some are starting to see it, some will never see it, some saw it from the beginning. Candace doesn't attack anybody until they say something negative to her first. Now, that level of negativity that they say to her first, sometimes I'm like, that wasn't that bad. And she's literally going to blow up like a volcano. And maybe the reaction isn't always warranted, but then I always default to people's feelings are their feelings. And if you're going to disrespect me, you need to be able to take whatever I'm going to throw back. You might not like it, but I didn't like what you said either. So it's weird, but no, I think she would enjoy that.
Salt Lake. Wow, I'd love to see that.
Only because
I mean,
if Dallas was still around, Deandra and Candace have a very similar relationship, like with their mothers and business and that part. We've been supposed to go to Dallas so many times and just never make it, but I think she would like to do that too. But Candace really can get, like, if you're cool, Candace can get along with anybody. She's one of the few people, she can walk into any room. It doesn't matter the makeup of the room. She's going to be fine. Doesn't matter.
I actually like that, though. It's like, I'm not going to go after you. But if you go after me and you do it this much and I give you 10 times the reaction, it's like, you can't tell me at what level I get to, react. I'm reacting, and I wouldn't have reacted had you not have brought that to my front door. But since you did, here's the reaction.
Here we are.
There.
And the flip side of that is, if you do and I come back this big, maybe you'll think twice about it the next time. But they don't ever think twice. They just keep doing it. And so she keeps going worse and worse. And it's like, but whatever. But yeah,
you're like, here we go again.
It's wild. No. Right, exactly. But I took a lot of people's advice, and so this season, although I wasn't really around a lot this season because all this stuff started in the beginning. I was like, I'm not filming. I'm good. See you guys at the reunion. But because a lot of people kind of if we go season 6 when we were at Chesapeake, and I'm sitting there having a conversation with Ashley, and then we're talking about Michael or whatever, and then Candace jumps in the conversation. I'm like stop, and then you're like, oh, you can't. Why are you touching her like that? And because I don't want her to get involved. I don't want her to be involved in that sort of stuff because people feed on it, and it just breeds this whole. Anyway, I was just letting her be this season. Like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here. But I talk about the social media thing real quick because I was on social media before this show happened. And for whatever reason, I feel like Housewives Twitter feels like they own Twitter. I don't know why. It's like, it's Twitter, guys. Everybody can be here. And everything, I'm very intentional with what I tweet. And if I put that RHOP hashtag on there, I'm talking about the show. If it's not on there, I'm not talking about the show. I've literally have a lot of things going on outside of life, a lot of hobbies that I enjoy, that I have commentary about, and I'm going to use it. The whole women's business thing, that irks my soul too. There's getting in women's business, but then there's you're sitting here talking about me. You've addressed me. I'm going to address it back. I'm just going to sit here. I got nothing to say.
I love that you use social media. I know you get sometimes you get backlash, sometimes you don't.
Sure.
I love when you put out what I think is it's fun to see is because I don't think a lot of people give you a lot of credit for owning and running a restaurant. Okay. Because we've worked in that industry for a long time. That is one of the hardest industries to be in the world. Yeah. But I love when you do put out little recipes or something, or show us I think that's really cool. Have you thought about, are you continuing to put stuff out? Because I know you were going to start something at one point, right?
Yeah. So I never want to own another restaurant. I mean, I say that today. That might change tomorrow, but like even as a minority partner, like the only way I would do it maybe now at this point is as an investor from the back, right? I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day in that sense. Now I have no problem being the GM of a place. I enjoy being in the restaurant, but owning is just a whole nother level that, oh my God, it's a mess. But yes, obviously the end of the year was very hectic from BravoCon to her touring, then showing the Bahamas, then it was Thanksgiving, and now we're in Christmas and her birthday, which is 2 weeks before Christmas. So I haven't been as active as I would like to, but yeah, top of the year, we'll start putting out some more stuff. So the Instagram has been doing really well. Now I just got to focus on the YouTube side of it because I need longer recipes. You speak too fast.
YouTube is such a great platform. We can attest to that. A great platform, especially for that.
And you can also just put it in the description of the video too. So if you talk fast and they can't keep up, well, one, guys, you can rewind. That's a thing. And two, you can go to the description of the video.
Exactly.
I'm visual.
But people don't want to do that. They're very, and this is why it's taken me 5 years to put out a cookbook, because people want to be told exactly what to do, right? I mean, that's kind of the point of a cookbook too. But I don't cook that way. Like I'm making things and I'm smelling, I'm tasting, and okay, it needs this, it needs this, it needs this. And then by the time, like, I've got the main ingredients and what I want to start with. But now as I've tasted, I add more, I forgot how much I added. And I can't just put enough cayenne pepper in there until you're good, right? It doesn't translate, and people don't want it. It's like, damn, I've got to start over again. So yeah, that and finding a publisher. Apparently there's a paper shortage. I've been told this by like 5 publishers, that people aren't really printing cookbooks, or publishers aren't taking on cookbooks right now because one is a lot of paper, but then there's the photography and everything else that goes into it. It's a lot more hassle these days, I guess, than opposed to just a regular book.
Wow.
Maybe they just don't like my concept. That could be it too, but they're being nice. However, I don't feel like that.
They're like, hey, sorry, we don't have paper.
Yeah, right.
No, I've literally been told that by 5 publishers that, well, there's a paper shortage. I mean, that was during COVID too. I mean, everything was short then, but who knows? Who knows? It is what it is.
Gosh. We're going to manifest.
That's right.
Manifest. If we learned anything from this conversation,
right,
we're just going to manifest the hell out of it.
It's coming. It's going to happen. So, but yeah.
Well, Chris, listen, I do have to say, I really appreciated this conversation because I feel like we get to know you and your side of the story a little bit better. And I'm looking forward to the YouTube channel. And the book, the YouTube channel will be really great. We should talk about that. It's up. It's up. There's a few videos on there. Okay. Like I said, I haven't put anything up in a while. It's just because obviously I was so used to doing like reels and shorts, right? And TikTok. Right. Yeah.
Where you film vertical. But then with the YouTube, going to be this way. And so now I've got to like do everything twice, or I can just be a real person and go buy another camera. But
it's a pain in the butt, though. Then you have to match the audio and everything is just a pain.
It's the editing that gets me. Editing is a bitch. I don't like the editing part. Like, I just want to film and upload, but it doesn't work that way.
It's not that easy. It's not as easy as it looks sometimes.
That's why people charge lots of money for it.
This is very true. But Chris, I'm so glad we got you on the show. I'm so glad we got to talk about this. We are definitely looking forward to the rest of the season of Potomac and everything, because I know it's been off for like a week or two because of the holidays.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get back into it.
Sunday.
Really looking forward to your answer to my question, which probably will be on the reunion. Can't wait to see that. And really, we just thank you so much for coming on. And I'm so glad, that Adam ran into you at BravoCon. I'm so glad I got to meet you for 2 seconds, but just your guys' energy, you can tell you guys are best friends. You're a team, and it's nice to meet someone.
It is. Like I said, everything that went down and I say, I don't know that. I mean, I know you apologize, and I know that, we talked through it. I don't know that I actually ever said sorry for the things that I also said in my part in that. So if I didn't, because I don't remember, I'll do it right now and say, well, yes, I didn't appreciate what you did, and I know you didn't appreciate the things that came out of my mouth. And Jason, I think we probably went back and forth a little bit as well.
Maybe just a little bit. Yeah. But
right. So my apologies to both of you as well, if I didn't offer that the first time.
Oh, no. Listen, it's not even needed. I was telling Adam too, during all of that, when it was going on, I was like, what's so crazy about all of this is I know that if you, me, Candace, and Chris went out and like had dinner, we would have a great time.
For sure.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
sure.
And that's where it is
I got
sometimes.
that
That's
from
where social
BravoCon
media
too.
really gets in the way. It's like
it does.
and the
Context can always be lost also.
Twitter's a
100%.
bitch. But that's okay.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
okay.
But,
It also can
but
be
again,
fun sometimes, but
it can. You're right. It's why we're there, right? Take the
slippery
good
stuff.
with the bad and hope we can make the best. But yeah, again,
Absolutely.
I'm glad we got to do this. This was fun.
I love it.
And Happy New Year to you guys as well.
Happy New
Hey,
Year.
Happy New Year, Chris.
Thank you
so
again.
much.
We
And
appreciate you.